Okay, guys, welcome to the video. There's been a lot of confusion about the cycles, so I've redone my presentation slightly. I thought I'd done it quite clearly, but I'm going to talk through it with a little bit more detail. I've also changed a couple of things, added in some things that might make it a little bit clearer. So this is the way it works. I'm going to focus mainly on the X3 cycle. The X6 cycle operates in a similar fashion. So if you understand the X3, the X6 will be reasonably easy to understand. So here we go. This is you. You may recognize yourself. And you introduce Abe. And because you introduce Abe, you receive 60%. So Abe is going to pay, for example, 2.2 AVAX on level 1. You receive 60% of that 2.2 AVAX. The other 40% you'll see in a minute, that goes to your sponsor. So you get 60% from Abe, and there your sponsor gets 40% just to prove I wasn't lying. And then you introduce somebody else, and that person's called Ben. It's funny how all the people in my presentations have have their names arranged alphabetically, but we have Ben, and so you receive 60% from Ben, and 40% goes to your sponsor. Then you bring in Cat, and when you bring Cat in, there's something changes, something else happens. This is called the trigger position. When Cat's brought in, you may not even see her on your pictogram on the website because as soon as she's brought in, she brings in the her payment, her 2.2 AVAX, and things happen very quickly because it completes the cycle. Just the fact that Cat pays her 2.2 AVAX is the trigger point for this to happen. 60% goes to your sponsor, so you don't receive anything from Cat, and 40% goes to the liquidity pool. And as soon as that happens, then your matrix is cleared out. So we'll just have a look at that once all positions are filled. That says X6. I'm sure I changed that. Okay, I will change it before my next presentation. So then what happens is the next cycle begins with you being awarded a new subscription at the same level as your last cycle. So money comes from the liquidity pool and buys in. So if you're at level 1, then you get the same level buy-in at level 1. Uh, and so then 60% of your money goes to your sponsor and 40% goes to their sponsor. If you're the first or the second person in your sponsor's matrix to complete your cycle, that's what happens. If you're the third person in their cycle, then 60% of your money goes to the sponsor's sponsor and 40% goes to the liquidity pool. Exactly the same as what happened to Abe and Ben and Cat. It depends which position you're in, whether you're the first or the second or the third position. Now, bear in mind, the first cycle through, you might be in position 1. You're the first person to pay your money. And in the second cycle through, you might be position number 3. So it doesn't mean a position, it just means you're the third one to have completed your cycle. So then your money goes in different directions. You don't need to worry about it, but just suffice to say that what happens to you and your sponsor is what happens to you with Abe and Ben and Cat. If you didn't understand that, watch the video back. It's only going to be a few minutes long. Watch it back. It will all make sense. So your subscription is shared either between your sponsor and their sponsor, or their sponsor and the liquidity pool, exactly as it was earlier, whether you're in Abe or Ben or Cat's position. But now you still have Abe and Ben and Cat. They're still registered to you. They've disappeared off your pictogram because you've now cycled. You've gone into your second cycle. So you have nobody on that second cycle until Abe or Ben or Cat, when their matrix cycles over, so they get money from the liquidity pool to buy their position in the new cycle, then you see them on your pictogram. Until then, they're not part of that cycle. They existed on the previous cycle, they don't exist on the new cycle until that money's been received from the liquidity pool. And the trigger point for that, of course, is when their third person pays their money. So you've still got Abe and Ben and Cat from the last cycle, and so you receive 60% and 40%, assuming Abe was the first one to cycle. And if Ben was the second one, then that's 60% and 40% to your sponsor, and Cat was the third one to cycle, then you don't receive anything, but your sponsor receives 60%, and the liquidity pool receives 40%, exactly the same as before, but the positions may be different. It may be different, it's whoever cycles first gets in position one, two, and then the last one is the one that cycles last. You don't need to worry about where the money's going. You just know that when these cycle, you're going to get 60% times two, which is 120%, which means that if you get involved in this and you introduce two people, as soon as you have two people, you've already got your money back plus 20% profit. Okay, so that's worth knowing. There are many opportunities out there. A good one, you'll wait 100 days. If you get 1% a day, you'll wait 100 days to get your money back. If it's involved in property, a good return on your investment for property might be 5, 6, 7 months. Okay, that's good in real estate. In this, you bring in two people, you've got your money back. I have my money back within a few hours of registering, and you can as well, and anybody can. Okay, so that's what we need to do is make sure people are bringing people in. This isn't our usual sort of opportunity. This is something you only bring people in if they can bring in three people. If everyone brings in three people, you will not believe the amount of money you're going to make. So don't bring in anybody hoping to do them a favor by getting them into this. No, bring in people who can bring in three people. And I'm starting to say to people, I've got an opportunity. Are you a good recruiter? No, I'm useless. I don't want to do anything to do with recruiting. Fine, bye, and I'll catch you on the next one. Okay, this isn't the sort of thing you want to be trying to convince everybody to do. If they can bring in three people, get them in. Get them in. They'll love it. If they can't, then it's going to be hard work, and people will be sat around waiting for spillover and extra things from their upline. It's all possible, but you could be waiting a long time. If I've got a matrix to fill up, and my people may not come to your part of the matrix for weeks or even months. Okay, so don't wait for that. You need to get people that can bring in three people. And to be honest, if everybody can bring three people into something where they can bring in two people and make the money back in a few hours. Especially when you consider this is what you're going to get just from your X3 matrix. If you just stay at level 1, you'll continue to receive 2.64 matrix every time it cycles over. 2.64 AVAX is about, at the moment, it's about $20. But AVAX has been as high as $140, so that could be $300, $320, $330 when AVAX goes back up to that sort of price. And every time it cycles, you're going to get that money. Every time it cycles, you get that money. Now you can spend some of that money and move up through the ranks. And by the time you're at level 12, and this is a long-term thing, it's not a quick sprint. Got to get in and get out before it always busts. There's no way that this can actually be a rug pull. The only thing that can happen is in your part of the world or in your part of the matrix, you or your people fail to bring in three people. If you fail to bring in three people, then you won't be earning any money. But it won't be a rug pull. Nobody's going to pull the rug and run away with your money. It could just be that your team doesn't have the wherewithal to go out and bring in new people, which is not a failing of the system. Okay, that's why we need to be fairly strict, not strict, we need to be fairly clear on the fact that this is for recruiters. It's not for people it's not passive income. It's not to sit around and wait for things. If you want to join in as a passive income, then join at level 8 and introduce a couple of people and sit back and wait for the money to come rolling in, which it will. Okay, but if you want to get in at the lowest level, then you need to be bringing in people. So 5,400 AVAX at level 12. I don't know how long it's going to take a level 12 matrix to cycle, or an X3 matrix to cycle at with you at level 12, but that's 54,000, and that could cycle every few weeks, or it could cycle every maybe once a month. It could cycle every few days. I don't know. Nobody's got there yet. So yeah, that's going to be 54,000, and when AVAX goes up in price, of course, if it goes back up to $100, then that's going to be 540,000. Is that right? $540,000 every few weeks. So there's a lot of money in this. There's a lot of money to be made. We just need to structure it properly and not be afraid to say to people, yes, you need to bring people in. That's how this works. If it was a product-based business, we get people in and we say, yes, you have to go and sell some products. Okay. If it's a trading business, so we say, yes, you need to get in and put some money in a trading fund. In this business, people get in and you say you need to be bringing people in. So I think I've laboured that. I think I've done that to death. I'm not going to do it anymore. So the X6 cycle, excuse me, the X6 cycle is kind of similar, but it's bigger. So you'll see the benefit now of the money going to the sponsor, because when Abe's people bring in, Abe brings in 3 people, you receive 60% from Abe. So his cycle, his matrix cycles, you get 60% from him, and he brings in 2 people, and he gets 60% from them, but you get 40% from them. So you're getting 60% at level 1, for example, everyone's at level 1. You're going to get 60% of 2.2, 40% of 2.2, 40% of 2.2, and then when Art gets in, you're going to get another 60% of 2.2. So that's 200%. On this, just on this leg here, you're going to get 200% of that 2.2 AVAX. So you're going to get 4.4 AVAX. The rest of Art's money goes to the liquidity pool. Now that happens the same with Ben and with Cat. So you're going to receive 200%, 400%, 600%. You're going to receive 600%. If everybody's on level 1, nobody's gone any further than that, you're going to get 2.2 AVAX times 6 is 13.2 AVAX. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. And then, so these people will be in your matrix forever. When your X6 matrix cycles now, you go back to having nobody on your front line and nobody on your second line. So then Abe's matrix, his X6 cycle matrix, so his matrix cycles. So in order for that to happen, Ace has got 3 people that are paid, Ali's got 3 people that's paid, Art's got 3 people that's paid. So as soon as a third person of the third person pays their money, then Abe's matrix cycles. Abe then receives some money from the liquidity pool. 60% comes to you, 40% goes to either your sponsor or to the liquidity pool, depends whether he's your first, second, or third to cycle. Okay, might sound complicated, but think about it, it all makes sense. So then Abe's X6 cycles, Ben's X6 will cycle, and Cat's will cycle. So we need to have a commitment to help all of these people bring in 3. Everybody brings in 3, everybody brings in 3, and the whole thing rolls on again. And every time this cycles, you receive 600%, which is 13.2 AVAX. That's just on level 1. Now, if you're on level 2, that's going to be 26.4 AVAX. If you're on level 3, that's going to be 53.2 AVAX. And if you're on level 4, you get the picture, okay. And of course, the price goes up and down with the value of AVAX. If you're receiving 53.2 AVAX, and AVAX is worth $10, that's $530. Every time your X6 matrix cycles, you get $530. If AVAX goes to $100, you're getting a huge amount of money. It's silly money. I'm not going to even say it. It's silly money. Every time it cycles, and it continuously cycles. Okay, we don't know how long it's going to take to cycle, but it's going to continue to cycle. So hopefully that explains everything about how the money moves and what we need to do in order to build this. And then, of course, as I said, once they're all filled, it's completed and starts again. So there we go. On level 12, your total income every time it cycles is going to be 27,000 AVAX. So at the moment, that's $270,000 at about AVAX about $10, slightly less, but you get the picture. I'm not going to do the maths on $9.36 because as soon as I do it, it'll be wrong anyway. It'll have changed. Okay, so $300,000 worth of AVAX every time it cycles at level 12. That's what we're aiming for. That's what we're trying to achieve. So hopefully you found that useful. God bless. See you on the next video.